Welcome back, everybody, to Moms Like Me, powered by Support Now. I have one of my absolute favorites here with me today. I am joined by the beautiful, wonderful, strong Kennedi Werley. And for those that don't follow Kennedi on Instagram, she is a wonderful mom to two precious children, but one of which kind of captured my heart earlier this year. Her name is Oakley, and Oakley is inpatient waiting for a miracle heart. And Kennedi, I got to meet her through her creating a Support Now registry, but along the way, I've got to meet her in person and have just so thoroughly enjoyed following the story of her family on Instagram, particularly Oakley. Oakley is one of these girls, y'all, that when you meet her, when you see her, you just love her. There's just something about her. And I think the exact same thing of Kennedi. So there's a lot to Kennedi's story and a lot that's still unfolding. And so this is space for her to share the updates on Oakley, of course, but also to get real around just how hard this is. Because as we all know, Instagram and Instagram stories only show just a portion of what is actually happening and what we actually feel. So first of all, Kennedi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for thinking of me and for having me on the podcast today. I feel honored that you did think of me. It has definitely been a journey and one that I could never have imagined. It's been full of a lot of heartache. When you say get real, it's been real this journey too, and the heartache that's come along with it. Just a lot of waiting.
For those that aren't following you or don't know the story, why don't you first start by giving a little bit of background on what got you into this, especially with Oakley's heart, how you knew, and where you are in that particular part of the story and journey.
Yeah, so starting at the beginning with Oakley, I was 20 weeks pregnant when I found out that she had a very complex heart diagnosis, that her heart was on her right side, where most of us have our heart on the left side. She had two large holes in her heart, and they told us, this is going to be a long journey with Oakley's heart. And for a long time, I took that on, and I took that on pretty much, alone. Of course, I have my husband as well, but being a nurse too, I really took on this diagnosis of Oakley and just was like, I can do this and I can do this alone. And I did that for a really long time. She had various surgeries. First one was at 6 weeks old when she went into heart failure. And then she had another surgery, open heart surgery at 2. And then when she was 6, we went in for a surgery and she went under general anesthesia. It was about 2, 3 hours that went by, figured surgery, is going well. And then the surgeon came in and said, I cannot proceed with this surgery. It is too risky and we need to change our plans with Oakley. And we think that she needs a heart transplant. So that was a take your breath away moment where, yeah, I never just imagined being on this journey with Oakley. I never thought heart transplant was in the cards for her. Maybe I was blocking it out for like self-protection wise too. Um, but I think at that moment, I realized I cannot do this alone anymore. I need support and I need to open up about my story and what it's really been like. Because I think for so long, I painted this picture of, she has, these diagnoses, but it's fine. It's all fine. We're good. I kind of like sugar-coated everything to maybe protect myself, other people. Yeah, and now it'll be 10 months here in a few days that she's been waiting for her heart.
And for those people that don't realize, like, I'd love for you to describe, because I was really struck by this as well. Like, she is waiting for a heart. And what that means for your family is that you literally live in a hospital waiting for a heart. And recently you transferred hospitals, right? My understanding is from Austin to Houston. So explain to people, like, why can't she be home? I think sometimes in our minds, you can wait for a heart and you just wait for the call. Explain her situation specifically, because it's a pretty wild way of living.
It is, and it's really confusing too, I think, for a lot of people looking in. I do get a lot of comments like that, like, "Why aren't you guys at home? Why would you, choose to be in the hospital?" So the reason that she's in the hospital is because it got to a point where she was too sick outside of the hospital and things were getting really hard as far as her energy goes. She couldn't walk into the grocery store. School was getting really difficult. I was getting calls daily from her teachers. We had home health nursing. They were getting really concerned about her. So the team decided she needs to be inpatient and put on a heart failure medication to improve her heart function. That has gone tremendously for Oakley. So I think when a lot of people see our videos, they say, she looks so good. She's so happy. She's still walking around. The heart failure medication she's on has really helped her. Praise God. And yeah, so just your life being in the hospital waiting for a heart. Yes, we were in Austin. We waited there 9 months. A lot of trauma, with my other side of things that I'll explain in a little bit, is part of the reason for the move too. But we are now in Houston at Texas Children's. We feel blessed to be here. Oakley is in amazing hands. But that's picking up your whole family and living in a hospital where she is monitored 24/7 and she is continuously on, IV medications. A pole goes with her everywhere she goes. She's been connected to a pole for 10 months. Yeah, it's truly unexplainable, this life and how you have to put your life on pause, but everything else keeps going, right? I always say that all the time. Things don't stop, right? Our mortgage doesn't stop. Our utility bills don't stop. All those things at home continue, yet we're not there. So it's tough. And when you have other kids, it's tough.
It's like the analogy that comes to mind to me is like it's like you're sprinting on a treadmill. You still have to you have to keep up with the pace, but it doesn't feel like you're actually progressing because you're just in the same space.
Truly.
I asked this question to you earlier. Like, not only is she sleeping in the hospital, you are sleeping in the hospital.
Yeah. So I'm here at the hospital right now. This is literally my bed. And this is our life right now. And it's crazy that it's become, our normal. It's so not normal. Nothing about this is normal. And you do your best, to find joy every day, but you're struggling. That's just the truth of it. A lot of people, message me and how are you doing? And, you want to be like, in all honesty, like, I am not good. I'm sitting in a hospital. This is really tough. It's tough. And you try and find, the things that we are grateful for because we're all facing so many challenges. And I think, something that we've talked about, Jordan, too, is we're not alone in that. We all have our stuff and we all have our pain. And our pain may look, a lot different. But we can't, compare those.
We do, and I think it's important to acknowledge that what you're going through is more challenging than most. And I think you do something that's so interesting, and I think it's a tendency of everyone. It's like we wanna reduce our own pain because we feel bad, because certainly someone has it worse. One of the things I've learned that I wanna try to practice here on in this is, like, it's okay to say, like, "This sucks." It does. It just does, and that doesn't mean that you're not grateful. It doesn't mean that others don't have it harder, but it's impossible to, live in a hospital for 10 months straight with your daughter just waiting, not knowing when, and again, you have another kid at home.
Yeah, and I think that's something I'm trying to remind myself of more is I am human. And the feelings that I have, they're valid. Whether I am, really sad and emotional one day or really ticked off one day, frustrated.
Yeah.
I think what's tough too is I always have to be on here, right? I mean, it's constant people in the room. I had to put a sign on the door, to do this podcast because otherwise I'm constantly interrupted, by the medical team. I mean, your life, you're in a fishbowl. It's just so, so different.
Well, and sometimes I wonder for you, humans, like, we adapt to our environments. I'm sure there's sometimes where, like, you almost do you ever, like, forget that this is your life because it just has become your everyday routine that I know you leave the hospital every once in a while, very rare, where it's, like, almost like you have to leave to realize just how bizarre of a lifestyle this really is because you've gotten used to, like, "Well, the nurses come in, I'm gonna go downstairs, get a coffee, I'm gonna try to get her on a walk." But from an outsider looking in, it's unimaginable.
For sure. You do. You really do. Like, you nailed that. It becomes your routine here. And even just talking with family and like hearing, what are y'all doing today? And you hear their plans for the day. And then you realize those don't get to be my plans as much as I would want those to be the plans for my family today. Right. Like something fun to look forward to. Or that's, I think, when it's tough. And it's like, dang, we are missing out in a way, and you feel like you're robbed of some of that and, like, the time that you have, and yeah, and you're trying your best to make the best of it in this circumstance, but it still is what it is.
Well, and Kennedy, I would love for you to keep going because I know that there is more that you're grieving, right? Clearly, you're grieving the journey of parenthood and motherhood that you thought you would have with Oakley. But I'd love for you to share, honestly, what's even more tragic in some ways, just given the realities that you're already having to navigate.
Yeah, while we were in the hospital, I found out that I was pregnant, and that was not planned, not the timing we would have picked, but we were still so excited. And again, at the 20-week ultrasound, I went in and it took a long time for the doctor to come in and tell me the results. And I knew in that moment, sitting there waiting for her to come in, I said, something's wrong. And yeah, she told me that, she's very concerned about the baby. The baby was less than 1 percentile for growth, extremely small. Um, She had 1 kidney. There was lots of different issues that they found with her, and more things kinda popped up along the way. And I'm like, "Oh my word, like, how do I now go through all of this? Oakley's in the hospital. How much more can I take on right now?" And we kept faith, and the doctors tell you so many negatives, and you're, like, just trying to hold on to that little mustard seed of faith. And yeah, it was very difficult. My water broke at 29 weeks, which was not ideal because we needed her to grow and be as big as possible. She had a bowel obstruction, and so we knew that she couldn't even have food, go into her GI system. She had to be on TPN if she was gonna grow. So it was just everything was against her, you know? And yeah, so I went in and I was admitted for about a week. Admitted in the same hospital as Oakley. I was 2 floors above her. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Again, I'm like, is my life like a movie? Like that's how it felt. And one day they put on the ultrasound and they said things don't look good. She is, struggling and we need to deliver. So I had a C-section and, we got 24 hours with her. Um, but it's a lot of pain. And again, this podcast, I know I'm not alone in that. And it's just not something that we talk about much. Like, there's so many women that have reached out to me, miscarriages or similar situations, but we stay alone in our grieving, we stay alone in our pain, which, I don't think that that's healthy either because that feeling of loneliness is really tough. And a lot of us can connect, on that pain, but it's hard. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to be vulnerable. 'Cause it is so, so real and so unimaginable.
And it's for you, it's still so raw.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, this just happened.
Just, yeah. And then, I had to keep going. It's like, I don't get to just stop and be like, I'm staying in my bed for weeks, and just grieving. No, my daughter is waiting on a life saving organ at the same time. I had to keep going and just say, nope, my focus is now, I have to keep going with Oakley and just we transferred to Houston. It got really hard for me to even walk in the doors, in Austin, just that PTSD of like so much pain and heartache.
So, Kennedy, I hear this and I see you, and anyone listening to this is going to be saying, how could I possibly help her? Do you even know how people can help you right now?
It's so hard. And I just, throughout this whole journey too, looking back, like without those people that do reach out and step up when you need them, we could not do this, truly. Like, without the generosity of the people around us and not even financially, it's the other things too. It's help with errands or food or, if we were in a bind with cash, it's so many other things. Prayer. I mean, it's everything. And I think that's why for me to support now was so helpful because it was like when y'all showed me it, it was like you get it. You get that it's more than someone, just saying, here's, financial help, which is huge, but it's so much. So yeah, to answer your question, it's still hard because sometimes I'm just like, I don't know how you can help this heartache that I have every day.
I think it's so important too to like just pause there because even beyond the money and the meals and the errands and the food, like you're just going through some real trauma
Yeah.
and trying to figure out how to heal. And I think most people are really uncomfortable talking to people that they don't relate to. Most people don't relate to you.
Right. Right.
Most people don't know what it's like to live in a hospital waiting for their daughter to have a heart. Most people don't know what it's like to find out at 20 weeks that their baby is not looking good and then to deliver and then to only spend 24 hours or side with them. I think that what happens is because people are so unfamiliar with your challenges, people then become uncomfortable with even trying to understand what they can do to help.
Right. And I will say, me and another heart mom, we recently got, lunch together and something she brought up. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so good. She was like, I just want people to tell me about their life and what's going on in their life and hearing, maybe not my stuff all the time, because I get to live in this every single day and be reminded, it's right in my face every day. And sometimes I just want to hear, how are you doing? So like a lot of my responses lately is like, tell me about, how your life has been and what's going on in your life. Cause my life, yes, there has been a lot in the last 10 months, but in some ways too, I'm like, it's felt like it's at a standstill. I'm like, some days I'm like, I have nothing to really, share because I'm like, still waiting. Sometimes I don't know what to say. So hearing about other people's day too is nice.
How are you coping? How are you able? I know you have to get up every day for Oakley. I understand that. And how are you getting through this? I mean, it's heavy. I feel it. I see it. Like, what are the things you are intentionally trying to do? What are the things you're telling yourself? Because I'll be honest, I'm struggling to figure out how the heck I would ever do it. And it feels just so it feels so difficult.
Yeah, it is. And again, reminding myself I am human and I am going to, struggle in this. And unfortunately, I just don't think there's always an easy answer. Like, I think we are, supposed to go through, this pain. I have to feel this. I have to walk through this. And, get stronger through it. And my faith, I think, is huge in that being able to take at least 5 minutes, truly. And sometimes that is all it is, and saying, I get 5 minutes today to just remind myself, that this is, God's plan, for my life, and that his plans are for the good, even though they don't feel good to me right now. His plans are good, and I have to, I believe in that, and I think that keeps me going. But I will say that's not always the easy answer either, because it is real and it's hard, and I have my moments of pure weakness.
Well, and even like, I'm just so curious, like, what are the things that make you smile? What are the things that give you life? You talk about 5 minutes. Like, what are those 5 minutes? Is it watching a quick show? Is it just a cup of coffee by yourself? Like, have you found the things that just give you a little relief, a little bit of space to breathe?
Literally, like, looking forward to that cup of coffee, I will say, the little things in life, wow. Like, I look forward to that every morning. I'm like, "I need this to get me through the day. I need a moment." I'm currently reading, like, a devotional. I have that with me, so that's something I really enjoy. I'm really big on, like, words, so I really enjoy reading and just having a moment to myself. But my kids bring me so much joy. Like, their joy is my joy, and I know every mom can relate to that. It's the craziest thing. Your kids are happy, you're happy. It's just, it's wild, but it's so true, and I never understood that growing up. Like, when my mom would say that, I'd be like, "Oh, okay." And now I'm like, "Oh my gosh, is that true?" Like, if I see her smiling, I'm like, "This is great."
How would you measure Oakley's happiness? Which, again, I almost don't like the question, but I'm going to put it out there because I feel like happiness is something that people can understand. Online, she looks like her spirits are high, but like, are they? Like, what do you sense about her in this moment?
She is so special. Like, there is just something about her, and I feel like I sometimes I hear that a lot, and I see, her on Instagram, she's so that's her. That is Oakley. Like, you got to meet her, and the joy that she brings, and there's just this light about her, and her faith too is huge, and that's not to the credit of me. Like, that's God working in her, and, she loves Jesus so much, and I see him in her, and it's just amazing. I think that God has big plans for Oakley, and I don't know, what the future holds, but I think it's something really big for her, and that's my biggest wish for her too, is to have this beautiful life after she gets this heart. And yeah, she's amazing. They they did an event at the hospital, all week actually, and then they did awards today. Oakley got the award for the happiest patient. So that's her. I mean, and the nurses were like, "Yep, that makes sense for her." Like, she just bops around here and yeah, just happy.
Yeah, I mean, all kids have a label in situations like this of being resilient and being able to persevere. There is something very special about her. She just has a light about her. And think about it, you haven't even been there that long, and she's already winning awards and superlatives that, um, most people have to work very hard to earn credentials like that. Not her. She just shows up, and it sounds like for you, maybe that's just enough in this really dreadful season. And I think it's okay to label that, right? Like, it's okay to say this is a season that you wanna move past. Yeah, there's learnings,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'd imagine you dream of getting on the other side of all of this.
Yeah, it seems like it is never going to end. I will say that. And, I've had those feelings before, right? Like, even during a 9-month pregnancy, we feel that. Like, oh, are we ever, not going to be pregnant? And then, we forget all about it. And, luckily, I've met so many amazing people through this journey. And like I said, I finally have, opened up about it, where for so long I was like, no, I don't need the support groups. I don't need I don't need any of that. Like, no one can relate. I kind of like pushed it all off. And now I see the beauty in support, meeting all these moms who have been here, they give me hope, and seeing the kids too.
And on Instagram, like, have you found that there's a lot of moms or parents that reach out to you that are going through similar things? So what has community building look like on that side?
Huge, huge. The messages I get too, and then, they'll message me and be like, "You're my reason to keep going today," or "You have no idea how much I needed to see your post today," or "The hope that Oakley has given me for my child." I'm like, "That's why." That's why, we open up and we be vulnerable. You know, my Instagram too, it's my journal, that's my life, like, and some days are hard, and some of that, isn't posted, right? Um, but yeah, one day at a time.
One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, I'm sure it feels like on many days. I wanna be so respectful because I know, again, you're in the hospital and she's, out right now, but I wanna say thank you. Um, these things are so hard to talk about, and like I mentioned earlier, you're still in it. So often moms I get to talk to, they're kind of I wouldn't say through it, but they're on the other side. They can look at it in a more reflective way.
Yeah.
Hearing you talk in the present,
Yeah.
it's just very authentic.
This feels like the thick of it, to say the least. And yes, an hour at a time, like you said, sometimes a minute at a time. But yeah, it feels like some days are like survival mode, but I know this too shall pass. We will get through this.
You will, you will. And Kennedy, I'd love for you to share for people that want to follow Oakley and your story, share the handle and where they can find you.
Yeah, so our Instagram is welcome to our beautiful mess because that is how I have, kind of felt like this journey has unfolded. I'm like, we are a hot mess. It is constant, chaos, but there is beauty in it too. And we do have, so many beautiful moments and moments of joy. And like I say a lot, even in the darkness, sometimes you see the most light. And I have seen that a lot, with so many amazing people that I have met through this journey that are forever friends. So people, you see who really shows up for you.
Well, Kennedy, thank you again. You're such a blessing. I encourage everyone to go take a look at her Instagram page. There are so many ways to support this family. Again, she mentioned a couple of them. Prayer is one that I know is very meaningful to you, but there are ways, even on their Support Now registry, where you can show up, even if it's the smallest of gestures, to show people that you care. And I think more importantly, it's just a good reminder for everybody that when someone's going through something really hard and daunting and something that you might not understand, the thing to do is not to look away. The thing to do is to lean in and at least make sure that person knows that you're there and thinking of them and supporting them in the ways that feel right. Because as you can see and hear, Kennedy's in a hospital room by herself. That's a pretty hard place to be. But she's not alone, because she's allowed her community to show up. And so long as you keep sharing and keep allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you get to see all of those blessings.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just so grateful. You blow me away with your resilience, and I know that sometimes that can feel like not the thing you want to hear because no one signed up for this. You didn't say I want to take this on to show that I can be resilient. These were the cards you were dealt. And it still feels like a really appropriate phrase or term to use for you and for Oakley. And I'm just forever inspired by your ability to push through in what feels completely impossible. So thank you for allowing me to interview you. Please give that beautiful girl the biggest hug for me. I can't wait to see her next TikTok reel or, adorable trending audio, which she does so much better than anyone I know, including myself. But you are such a light, Kennedy, and you are just, even in this alone, will provide so much inspiration, not just for heart moms, but for anyone walking through some pretty hard water. So appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you for letting me share our story and for all your time today.
Of course.